Look, this whole war on terror is a fraud. It's a farce. It's very difficult to say it out loud because people are intimidated against saying it. Because if you say it, they want to make you into a nutcase.
Approach 9/11, we remember that 3,000 lives were lost on that terrible Tuesday in 2001. Since then, what liberties have we lost to government overreach, corruption, and abuse? But first, despite President Trump's bluster, is the USA losing its leadership position in the world order? Have we already lost it?
There are disturbing spy allegations against one of America's closest allies. Israel is denying a Politico report accusing its government of planting surveillance devices near the White House and other sensitive locations around Washington.
Politico also claims President Trump was aware but took no action to punish the Israeli government.
We had peace talks scheduled a few days ago. I called them off when I learned that they had killed a great American soldier from Puerto Rico and 11 other innocent people. They thought they would use this attack to show strength, but actually what they showed is unrelenting weakness.
But the truth has to come out. That's why I'm doing this interview. The fact of the matter happens to be that the whole war on terror is a fraud, it's a farce. Yeah, there's a war going on in Iraq because we invaded Iraq and people over there fighting, but the war on terror, that's a joke. And until we discover what really happened on 9/11 and who was responsible for 9/11, because that's where the war on terror emanates from. That's where it comes from. It was 9/11 that allowed this war on terror to begin. And until we get to the bottom root of 9/11, the truth of 9/11, we'll never know about the war on terror.
The last 4 days, we have hit our enemy harder than they have ever been hit before, and that will continue.
Called MC catchers or stingrays were first found near the White House and in other sensitive areas of Washington. But all that the Department of Homeland Security disclosed at that time was that it had found them. It wasn't sure who had put them there. So now, according to this Politico report, there's been this result of a counterintelligence probe launched into the matter by the FBI and others, and it has shown that Israel was behind the placement of these devices. That's based, it sounds like from this report, on an analysis of who was taking data off of them, because not all spy agencies can do this. Israel is strongly denying this, as you know.
Jerusalem. It is a holy city to all three major Abrahamic religions. Jews, Muslims, and Christians, they've coexisted within its walls for centuries, but it is only the Jews who lay claim to it as their exclusive capital. And that is a position that's been given added force since Donald Trump came to power in the United States, and in the face of international law, recognized the city as Israel's capital, as well as announcing he would relocate the U.S. embassy there from Tel Aviv.
Back to Israel now, where the IDF says it intercepted 2 rockets launched from the Gaza Strip, interrupting a campaign rally for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass.
The United States
but
on
the end is
Wednesday
not yet.
announced sanctions on a network of companies, ships and individuals that it says are involved in selling oil to finance terrorist activities of the special branch of Iran's armed forces, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Trump administration has designated the IRGC a terrorist organization.
Today, the United States government is intensifying our maximum pressure campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran. First, we are announcing a reward of up to $15 million for any person who helps us disrupt the financial operations of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps and Quds Force.
U.S. tensions with Iran began escalating last year after Trump abandoned a six-party nuclear deal with Iran and reimposed tough economic sanctions aimed at blocking Iran's oil exports. Trump says the sanctions work and are likely to force Iran to return to the negotiating table.
They're getting killed financially. Their inflation is at a number that few people have ever seen inflation at. And it's a very sad situation. They could solve it very quickly. We could solve it in 24 hours.
Some analysts say the Trump administration may have miscalculated.
I think that President Trump has had a misapprehension about Iran for many years. And he's been too enamored by the analogy between Iran and North Korea. Whereas for Kim, a meeting with Trump was in and of itself a victory. For the Iranians, a meeting with President Trump would be all cost, all risk. And so the only way to get the meeting that he wants is to put something real on the table to balance out the cost and the risk that the Iranians would be suffering.
Washington-based analyst Jared Blank told VOA that additional pressure on Iran, the State Department announced Wednesday, may lead to more confrontation in the region rather than to negotiations with Tehran. Blank said the French proposal to offer Iran a loan to prop up its economy in exchange for its compliance with the nuclear deal could de-escalate the tensions, but he said the Trump administration clearly is not interested in it.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
There is talk that countries like China and Russia and Turkey and India are looking to dump the dollar.
And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places.
Oh my god. Nana! Oh my god. I got it all on video, dude. Oh my god. I got it all on video.
Oh, good. Because it's a fungus. And actually, Candida strains are colonizers of the human body. They live in our gut microbiome, which is another hot topic. This strain is preying on people with weakened immune systems.
There are new concerns about rare but potentially deadly flesh-eating bacteria found in warm waters. One woman, Lynn Fleming, died last week when she was infected after a fall at a beach. Now families are sounding the alarm. We spoke to a Florida man who says he was infected without even getting wet.
All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
An Anne Arundel County man is dead after officers say he refused to give up his gun to police.
Officers shot and killed him at his home this morning, where they were attempting to enforce the new red flag law.
And Vic, police just left this Ferndale neighborhood now nearly 12 hours after officers first showed up here to attempt to remove guns from a home and ended up shooting and killing the gun owner. Flashing red and blue lights cut through the rain in this Ferndale neighborhood Monday afternoon. Police now guarding the street where their attempt to enforce the new red flag law turned fatal hours earlier. Around 5:15 in the morning, Anne Arundel County police say they came to a home on Linwood Avenue near Broadview Boulevard to take weapons from 60-year-old Gary Willis. They say two officers knocked on the door and Willis answered, armed with a handgun. Sergeant Jacqueline Davis says at first he put the gun down and stepped outside to talk with police.
He was fine with the officers until they told him, hey, we're serving you with this order, and this order orders us from the court to take your guns.
At that point, she says Willis went for his gun. One of the officers tried to grab it out of his hand, and Willis pulled the trigger. That bullet didn't hit anyone, but it prompted the other officer to open fire, shooting and killing the gun owner.
And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many.
Clashes have broken out in Jerusalem between Israeli police and Palestinian worshippers at the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The police fired stun grenades to disperse crowds after tens of thousands of Palestinians assembled to celebrate the Muslim festival of Eid al-Adha. That's it.
Iran has a chance to really build themselves up and be a very great nation, greater than before. But they have to stop terrorism. That is your #1 nation of terror.
It's 1500 hours GMT, and you're watching live pictures from the Israel-Lebanon border. We are continuing our breaking news coverage of the tension between Hezbollah and Israel. In the last hour, we've seen an escalation between the two sides. Israel has confirmed multiple hits on an army base, while the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah says its fighters destroyed an Israeli tank. Israel has not yet confirmed any casualties. Well, the Lebanese army says Israeli forces have fired at least 40 shells at border villages in southern Lebanon.
In a series of tweets, President Donald Trump says that as part of ongoing peace talks, he was due to host the Taliban and the Afghan president at Camp David. That's the presidential retreat outside Washington and a famous site for peace negotiations. He said the Taliban were due to fly to the US Saturday evening. Trump said the reason for cancelling was a bombing by the Taliban, which the militant group said was carried out to strengthen their negotiating hand.
On Monday night, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu revealing what he says are new secrets from Iran's nuclear archive.
In this site, Iran conducted experiments to develop nuclear weapons.
And calling once again on the international community to follow the lead of President Donald Trump and sanction Iran.
The only way to stop Iran's march to the bomb and its aggression in the region is pressure, pressure, and more pressure.
I think Iran has potential, and I think North Korea. Those are two countries we're dealing with right now at a very high level. I think Iran has a tremendous, tremendous potential. They're incredible people. We're not looking for regime change. We hope that we can make a deal, and if we can't make a deal, that's fine too.
A rocket has hit the Defense Ministry complex in Afghanistan's capital on the 18th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. The strike happened near the U.S. Embassy just after midnight. The Afghan Interior Ministry says no one was hurt. The terrorist attacks in the United States on September 11, 2001 led to the invasion of Afghanistan, which toppled the Taliban regime.
Our cameras spotted John Bolton outside the West Wing this morning, just hours before the president revealed that he had told him his services are no longer needed at the White House. But the ousted national security advisor disputed that, saying he offered to leave. His resignation letter delivered to the president this morning.
We're going to announce sanctions against.
Notoriously hawkish, Bolton took a hardline approach to foreign policy that clashed with the president's. Most recently, he opposed the widely criticized plan to meet with Taliban leaders at Camp David.
Archaeologists in Israel have claimed to have discovered the true location of the biblical town Emmaus, where Jesus first appeared to two followers after being crucified and resurrected.
To begin, United States President Donald Trump strongly hinted on Sunday that the likely rollout of his long-awaited peace plan will follow Israel's upcoming September elections. But Trump then added that sections of it may still be released piecemeal until the full plan is revealed. Additionally, Trump referenced the length of time that the murderous animosity has existed between Jews and Arabs in formerly Ottoman Palestine and now modern-day Israel, opining that making a deal is difficult when there's so much hate. But at any rate, for now, Israel is facing its second election within 6 months after incumbent Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was unable to form a coalition government in April. And it's thought that Trump and his team will give the winner of the election in September, if there is one, an opportunity to form a government before releasing the plan.
Muslims come here whenever they want. Jews and other visitors can come at the same moment, but there is a difference. Tourists can walk around as they want, Jews can't. They have defined a very precise route for us. At the time of the British Mandate, Jews could come here 7 days a week. Nowadays, they can only come 4 or 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. A Jew must have the right to bow down freely, and he must have the right to say his prayer.
But Abraham is not just a regular pilgrim. He is an activist, well known to Israeli law enforcement because he is part of an organization that promotes the improvement of pilgrimage conditions for Jews on the Temple Mount and more.
Our Prime Minister finally understood that access to the Temple Mount for Jews must be normalized. Our ultimate goal is to build the third temple. It's undoubtedly the reason why we came here for a pilgrimage. For the temple, we want to restore the building to perform new sacrifices, just like thousands of years ago. It's only the beginning. For the redemption to be complete, we must build the third temple here.